We are live now. I just need to make sure I'm doing everything right so I can still see the chat. I'm gonna keep this here. Yeah, it's showing. So, hello everyone. No, this one. Hello everyone. How is everyone going? I haven't done a live stream for a long time, so it's a bit rusty. But I think I managed to do a nice background. And yeah, I feel a bit nervous. I haven't done it for such a long time that, I don't know, I think it's fine. I think I've set everything properly. Because I'm using OBS. I don't know if you guys know, I'm going to move the camera a bit. Nope, this way. So I'm using OBS, and it's not complicated, but there's a couple of things that could go wrong if you don't pay attention. So I had to, I pushed back the time of the live stream by 15 minutes just so I had time to do everything properly. And I think if I set it properly, there shouldn't be too long of a lag, I think. Yeah, it's pretty responsive actually. That's good. So, yeah, I don't know, how should we start? How is everyone doing? Who's here? Say hi. In the comment section, in the chat, and yeah, let's just chill together. I didn't really come up with any specific topic. The truth is, I was supposed to do a I need to stop what's the word, moving on my chair, but I thought originally that I would do a Japanese progress update, but honestly yesterday I had no energy, and I feel like I slightly burnt out doing the editing of Guess the Accent Challenge, which was a great video, I love it, but it took me 15 hours in total to edit everything, so I kind of felt like I was videoed out, if that makes sense, or edited out. And yeah, so I thought I would do a live stream because, to be fair, I haven't done one in a long time. So I thought that would be a nice opportunity. Whew, I'm still rusty from speaking other languages this week. But yeah, I thought it would be a nice opportunity to sort of communicate with you and chat with you. Hello, I'm fine, thank you, and the live is working fine. Yes. Oh, I need to check. Is the sound coming out of here? So if I tap this, do you hear the sound coming from here? I think it does. I want to make sure you have the best sound quality, because if the input is the camera, then my webcam that I've got as well, the quality is not going to be as nice. But I hope, yeah, cool, great. I wanted to make it a bit closer, but then it's going to be on the screen, and I want to make it as beautiful as possible. Not that my backgrounds are ever perfect, but I try to make them look as nice as possible. So yeah, and so Trustfest, I've never seen you around. I know there's been a lot of new people joining the channel since last time that I've done a live stream, which was 5 months ago. So tell me who you are, what brings you here, and everyone else can do the same as well. Yeah, and then maybe I can talk to you about what I thought about talking about in my Japanese what's it called? Japanese language? No, Japanese progress update. That's it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this, but I can do that in the live stream. I don't think I will keep it up. I think I will probably delete it at the end, so we can literally talk about everything, and nothing will stay on the internet, basically. So maybe I should post a link on Twitter. Let me do that again. Maybe a bit of a retweet. I'm quite excited because I'm using the camera I used to record, and I didn't know. I didn't know that you could use it, but it's also been something recent. So I think I've been able to do that, like with the camera I have. Canon has allowed users to use the cameras for live stream for about 5 months, I think now. So it's quite recent. So it's quite exciting. So that means you have a better sound quality. So that's quite nice. So. Nope, that's the stream code. How do I? Oh yeah, here I go. Can't even work out how to share a link. Can you imagine? Almost 4 years on YouTube and I can't do that. The live stream is live. If that makes sense. All right. So Yes, I actually found your channel a few months ago while I was looking for a topic for my BA's research. Oh yeah, I see. So did you find a topic in the end? Yeah. I watched one about your MA research and it was very influential. Oh, how so? Like, how was it influential? Did it inspire you for a research project or topic or research question? Because I remember like my research was based off an article which I linked in the video, which was quite similar to what I did. So I didn't sort of create or come up with anything extremely original. Obviously, I didn't do the same thing, but yeah, it was basically me just reusing the same sort of principles, but I had to create. Because in the research paper, the guy had done code switched sentences between Norwegian, I believe, and English, and I had to do something similar for Spanish. I just used the same type of structures they used. So, for example, if there was a code switch at a noun level, then I would do the same with Spanish. But obviously, I didn't translate everything because I can't speak Norwegian, so I couldn't use the same sentences. But I tried to do something similar. Oh, it's Kevin abroad. Hello, Omats. I know who you are. Omats is a real-life friend. Yeah, I chose phonological integration and loan words in my native language, which is Moroccan Arabic. Ah, what does that consist in, phonological integration? Do you mean like how... Oh, I see. So yeah, so for example, if there's a French word, that if it's used in Moroccan Arabic, then it will have like American Arabic, even though it's a foreign word. Is that what you mean? I guess. I'm a bit rusty about linguistics, so apologies. And phonology is not really my thing, but I think that's it. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because we do that a lot when we code switch as bilinguals. Like, well, not always, because usually when I code switch, I will use the phonological system of the language I'm switching to in whatever. But yeah, it can happen that sometimes there's some interference, or like you will basically use the pronunciation of the wrong language, so to speak. But I know that's not exactly the same thing, but yeah. It's like the rules that decide how we pronounce foreign words, right? Yeah. I guess it's like in Japanese, because in Japanese they adapt a lot of words from English, even from Portuguese. But anyway, so like a lot of the words in English, for example, sandwich, which we don't actually pronounce the D in English. We say, I mean, I don't know for American English, but I think we don't, because in England we say sandwich. And then in Japanese they will say things like sandoichi, so the way they pronounce the word will abide to the rules of Japanese in terms of pronunciation. Hello, polygloss. Coucou. J'ai du travail, salut, je te bute. Ok, no problem. Tu fais quoi comme travail? Whoa, 8 people watching the live stream. That's amazing. We're about to beat a record. Yes, very interesting. It is really interesting. Like the way code switching works, well, it's not code switching. I mean, it kind of is code switching, but it's really just sort of, as you said, I don't have the terminology anymore, but yeah, when you include a loan word, essentially, how it's quite funny how the pronunciation will change. Like same with French words in English. Like sometimes when there's a word in French, oh my god, like what's the example? Yeah, like the word croissant in French. In English, I can never sort of pronounce it because I'm too used to the native pronunciation of the word. But you know that if you pronounce it the native way, like the original way, then people will not quite get it. Yeah, so anyway, I lost the train of thought. J'ai un tournoi en ligne à staffer pendant 9 heures. Allez, sympathique. Oh, 9 heures, wow, okay. Fair enough. Croissant. Yeah. I want a croissant. I don't know if they pronounce the T necessarily. I think in America they do, but in the UK they might not. It depends. Some people might be more like close to French, I guess. Oh my god, my nose is so itchy. I don't know why I get that, but sometimes the tip of my nose is very itchy. It's really irritating. My boyfriend thinks it's hilarious when I say Facebook when I speak in Portuguese. Or like, as in you say Facebook with the English pronunciation. Yeah, that's fair enough. But I always try to not do that in English because I don't want to... I feel like sometimes when you don't pronounce words as they should be pronounced in the target language, people will think you're pretentious or trying to be posh or something. So I try not to do it, but sometimes, yeah. Oh, right, in English, oh yeah. Facebook. Yeah, because in Portuguese, European Portuguese, we would say o Facebook, which is quite similar to Facebook, but pretty much. C'est jusqu'à quelle heure ton live? I think I'm going to translate to English since I'm doing it in English. But yeah, what time will the live stream end? So I don't know. I'm gonna go on for maybe an hour. We'll see how many people show up, I guess. Je parle français parce que j'ai aucun respect. You a troll. Yeah, I know Omats is a real life friend. He's just trolling me. He trolls me all the time. Sorry, Matt Koss. Question: do you use Anki or some other Flash app? How much time per day do you take to review each day? Yes, I'm a big user of Anki. I've been using it for... I'm pretty sure I've started using it in April of last year, so over a year and a half. And yeah, I do about 50 minutes every day. I used to do more because at the beginning I was reviewing the kanji. So like it would take me more time. Sometimes I would spend like half an hour, which is a bit intense, I think, for Anki. But now that I'm not learning new words or new kanji in particular, but I'm still doing other decks from other things. So particularly, I'm doing. I did a deck for Japanese for busy people, which is a textbook. Which is this one, but I don't want to ruin my bookshelf. I put the books all tidy. And then I used a deck from Japanese from Zero, book 2, not this one, but book 2. So just to sort of revise the vocab of the textbook, because I don't want to, because I've seen them in context, so it's quite nice then to learn them and remember them. Posso falar português então? Sim, podes, não há problema. Mas se falares português vou ter que traduzir. The Polygloss, I wonder, like, quando falo português, tu percebes o meu sotaque ou não? Que eu percebo o sotaque brasileiro bem, acho eu. Quer dizer, em Portugal temos telenovelas brasileiras, muito, e então os portugueses normalmente são habituados a ouvir o português do Brasil. Mas às vezes as palavras, como é que se diz, slang, às vezes não entendo, mas eu entendo, sim. É quase igual, quer dizer, é muito similar. No worries, Matt. Cos. So, any other questions? Eu agora estou mais acostumada, mas antes eu não entendia. So I'm going to try to speak English, otherwise I'm going to leave everyone out. But so in Brazil, are you exposed? Like, to what extent are you exposed to European Portuguese? And I guess that might also depend on where you live. As in, I guess if you live in a big city, you're exposed to more language, like varieties of language or varieties. Yeah, like that. Sorry. But you see what I mean. But yeah, none at all in Brazil. Okay, interesting. Interesting. How many languages did you learn other than English? So obviously I speak Portuguese and French natively, and I don't know, Spanish is a weird one. Like, I feel like bilingualism. Sorry, I did a word stress. Bilingualism is kind of weird sometimes because it's not that clear cut, but I think Spanish, I wouldn't say I'm a native speaker of Spanish, but I used to speak it a bit when I was a kid. So I was sort of exposed to Spanish early on, which I think explains why I'm not saying that to boast, but I think that's why my accent is not too strong. As in, like, you can't hear too much French or Portuguese or anything in my Spanish, because I used to speak and hear it a bit when I was a kid, and I used to go to Spain more or less once a year. But anyway, so yeah, I could. So what was my point? Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. But yeah, so I do speak a bit of Spanish, and I learned it at school anyway. So that's why my grammar is, it's what is coming to me in French is acceptable, let's say. And I did learn Italian for 3 years, and I can still speak it a bit, but I really only can understand it. I can say basic things in Italian because, let's be honest, it's very easy to learn for anyone that learns that knows already a Latin or a Romance language. So yeah. Okay. Sorry, I don't want to miss comments. But when I moved to France, I had a professor from Portugal. Then I traveled to Portugal sometimes, and I slowly heard more of it and got used to it. But yeah, we just don't watch any shows on TV from Portugal. That would make things easier. I guess. But I'm sure you would still be able to understand. I don't know, because I'm not in that situation, but I'm thinking of Canadian French in France. Like, I haven't heard Canadian French a lot, but if someone spoke Canadian to me, I could still understand most of it, like probably 90% of it, unless they start using slang, which are kind of obscure for French people, but that's the case with anyone. with any language, a variety of languages between themselves. But yeah. Quand j'étais au Brésil, les Brésiliens ils m'ont dit qu'ils comprennent pas toujours le portugais européen. Ils sont pas habitués, ouais. Ils ont pas assez regardé RTPI. Ils ont pas morango com açúcar là-bas. Yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's not me to judge, but like, yeah, that's fair enough. You know, you know, like in France, we're not really exposed to Canadian French. It's not the type of like programs in Canadian French don't make it to TV, let alone programs from any other French-speaking countries. Yeah. But I think, I don't know, I wonder why Portugal has so many Brazilian TV shows. I feel like maybe it could be because there isn't the money to produce their own shows and films. Like, I don't think like the movie industry in Portugal is so developed, or not as developed as, I'm not even going to say America, obviously that would be an unfair comparison, but like other countries like France or even Spain, I think. Yeah. On a Céline Dion quand même. What do you mean? On a Céline Dion quand même. Oh yeah, well, but Céline Dion, like, she has pretty much a French accent now. I mean, it's kind of hybrid. Like, her accent is become, she neutralized her accent, I think, in French. She doesn't really sound Canadian. I mean, when she's on French TV anyway. It's not just a matter of different accents. I could understand Angolans okay on my first interaction, for example, but Portuguese people in particular tend to speak very fast and skip vowels. Yeah, we do, yeah. So I had a sort of debate even with a Portuguese family member, and we were talking about the you know, the E sound, the E vowel at the beginning of words. So if you say things like I think in Brazil, I mean, I'm not going to try to do a proper accent, but in Brazilian it's something like estar. And in Portuguese say estar, so we don't actually pronounce the E. And I had a debate with a friend who was saying that, no, we do pronounce the E in proper standard Portuguese. And I was like, I don't think we do. And I actually like started listening to politicians in European Portuguese. I mean, not because I like politics, but I thought that politicians would have this kind of pressure to speak standard, to speak the standard language, and they still didn't pronounce it. So I think it's because sometimes, like, I feel like Portuguese people don't realize that we don't pronounce it, because, you know, when you look at this, how to explain, you know, there's always like some kind of bias when you pronounce things. Like, you tend to visualize the way the word is written. How to explain that? Like, for example, Portuguese people will be convinced that we pronounce the E because when they write the word, there is an E, but actually they don't realize that they don't pronounce it, or at least, you know, yeah, we just don't pronounce it really. It's as if it wasn't there, the word would still be pronounced the same, basically. Hey, it's Jamal. Hello, Jamal. I think I've seen you on Twitter. I remember your logo, or your name, Langphil. But on est exposé à son accent, she does sound Canadian. No, she does sound Canadian, but her accent is not like super strong. And I think there's a thing, which is that if she speaks to French people, her accent will be more French, from France. And I think if she's in Canada, she will probably sort of not go back to her native accent. Yeah, I think, anyway. But it's not like I heard a lot of interviews from her, but I think that's what happens, because I don't remember her having a super strong accent. But she doesn't sound like she's French, obviously. I would agree with that. Also, aren't you supposed to be doing some work or whatever? Right. Any other questions, I wonder? Can't play Fortnite. No, Dakota, I played enough Fortnite as it is. French is my third language, and I found Canadian French so hard, but it's also not impossible. Takes getting used to. Yeah, I think that's all it is, you know, because I like, you know, with your knowledge of French, I mean, to me it comes down to mostly a different pronunciation. Obviously the language is a bit different. There's a couple of phrases that like we wouldn't use in France or something, but often, I mean, if I'm listening to a Canadian show, like I would understand most of it. Like, it wouldn't sort of bother me. I would have to focus a bit more, but I think after a while we get used to it. But I can definitely understand why a learner of French from France would find it difficult to get it. But that's fair enough, you know. Even me, if I listen to, I mean, an accent I still struggle with would be an English Indian accent. I find them, I mean, the ones you hear on films, I don't know how realistic they are, but I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that kind of accent basically. But yeah, so I would find it a bit difficult. So I would probably need subtitles if I was watching a film which was in that accent. I think the film that I watched where there was a constant sort of Indian accent or something that sounded that sounded Indian to me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how sort of accurate that was, but in Slumdog Millionaire, I think the accent was a bit hard for me to understand, so I had to put subtitles on. What encouraged you to start learning Japanese? So I think the reason why I started, it's kind of a weird one, because I used to watch animes, and like not a lot, but I used to watch one which was called Naruto, which I really like. But I didn't really get into Japanese. Like, I only watched it because I liked the story. It wasn't because it was Japan or anything like that. And I think I was too young to even sort of clock. I mean, I knew it was a foreign language because I was watching it in Japanese, but I was just like, it's just, I just want to watch the show. I don't care about the language. But then it's when I moved to England about 8 years ago now, that I met a Japanese person, and I don't know, it was just so much fun to meet someone from Japan, because I had never met someone from Japan, I don't think, or maybe once in my life in Paris, but I never had like a friendship with a Japanese person. I think that's how like it made me want to learn it, because I was like fascinated by her culture, by who she was as a person. I hope that's not weird to say, but I mean, I don't know, that I just meet people and then like they fascinate me in some way, and that makes me want to learn their language. I think that's kind of how I work. And yeah, and then like progressively I started learning Japanese, but it was really on and off. Like sometimes I would learn for like a couple of weeks, then stop for 3 years or whatever. But it's really just recently that I started learning Japanese. But I would say the main reason is just the complexity of the language. I kind of like the challenge, and the sound of Japanese for me is, I love it. I just love the sound of Japanese. Like whenever someone speaks Japanese, it's like, come on, speak more Japanese to me. I love it. I know it's a bit weird, but that's how I feel about it. So it's different when you're a learner. You already struggle with web comprehension, so when you add more variety, it gets way harder. Yeah, of course. That makes sense. It's also nicer if you have someone close to annoy with questions. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like definitely. I think the only reason, for example, I'm able to understand American English easily, I mean, the writing is fairly similar. There's not too many differences, but the accent is obviously very different from the English accent. Was from exposure and having friends that were American, watching a lot of TV shows, etc. And also the reason why I can, because you would know, I think you live in England, Polygloss. Your name is, Etienne, right? Your name is Etienne. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Etienne or Etienne? But I think you live in England, so you would know how, you need text practice to sort of be able to deal with different British accents. And yeah, so now like if I have students that are like Irish or Scottish, I mean, I can find it difficult to understand some words, but I would still be able to sort of, I would survive in the conversation. I wouldn't be too confused. How long did it take, say, to become fluent in Japanese? Not fluent as in, 95%, but like you understood 65% around. I wouldn't be able to answer this question because I'm not fluent in Japanese. I wish, one day maybe, but I'm still a beginner in Japanese. So I wouldn't be able to answer this question, but to become fluent in the language, that's such a hard question. Because, I don't know, because I think, how to explain? So, if like you could imagine someone that was learning it so bad and so hard that they could get fluent in a year, I don't know, but that would be for like lots of exposure, like hours a day I'm talking. So technically I guess you could be fluent in the language in less than a year, especially if you mean 65%. I mean, that's kind of, I think I know what you mean, like being conversational and being able to cope in the language, I guess that's what you mean. But yeah, I would say in a year, if you're really into it, you could. But, I think normal people, I mean, I think I'm a normal person in terms of learning languages. I would say that, yeah, it takes us a couple of years, especially if you don't live in the country, especially if, like me, you only do half an hour to an hour of Japanese every day. Like, I'm not going to get fluent in anytime soon, which is fine. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a hard question to answer. Yeah, I used to watch anime as well, and Naruto was one of my favorite ones. Yeah, I know, it's great. And that helped me understand Japanese, but I can't actually speak it. Yeah, I mean, it kind of helped me with getting exposed quite early on to the sounds of Japanese, but it didn't get me fluent. I don't even think I learned many words from just watching Naruto, except from the small words or whatever. But also because I wasn't trying to learn at the time. Like, it wasn't sort of my focus to learn Japanese, so yeah. Like, it sounded Japanese, but I wasn't paying attention to the words in particularly. I saw a news report from Burkina Faso recently, and I thought the accent on BFTV was really clear. How does the French in West Africa compare to France? Again, I have to say that, and I think that's a sad thing, but in France we're not really exposed to many African accents. I mean, I think I am, because obviously I'm from Paris, so we have lots of cultures and therefore lots of accents. But in terms of compare, what do you mean? Do you think in terms of differences? If that's what you mean, yeah, the accent is going to be different. I mean, I don't know, it's still pretty understandable, but also that's because I'm used to listening to African accents. I mean, I use that loosely, obviously, but I mean Francophone African accents. They tend to sound quite similar. I can't say that I would be able to tell people apart. I mean, people from Africa apart just based on their accent, but I'm sure there's differences. But I don't know, I don't have enough exposure to these accents to really be able to tell. But yeah, the accent is different. I would imagine a learner, it would take them some time to get used to the accent to be able to understand it. You're a certified language teacher, Dakota, right? I love that I can understand when someone speaks Japanese without having to read subtitles. Yeah, it's great. I did italki class on Tuesday, and the teacher was quite a lot of fun, and it was really motivating because obviously it was a beginner conversation, it was nothing extraordinary, but I could understand quite a bit. So like sometimes, I mean not everything, but because I could understand some of the words, I could sort of make out what the teacher is too casual, what the teacher meant. And that was really cool. I was like, nice, I can understand some words. And sometimes you would have to sort of explain the word in Japanese, and then I could understand it, which was quite empowering, I think. Empowering, I can't say that word. Is Japanese from zero really better than Genki? If so, would be dedicated to get these books. Genki, I've tried a little bit. I can't say I've completed the book, to be fully transparent with you. But I think it's better. I'm basing this off of the little experience I've got with Genki and also what people have said about it. I think Japanese from zero is, okay, I'm going to put it like this. I think Japanese from zero is better for self-learners and people that are complete beginners in Japanese and people that haven't learned hiragana, katakana, etc. Like complete beginner, like you don't even know how to say konnichiwa in Japanese, right? While Genki, I think, is a bit more for classroom teaching or having a tutor, for example, or someone that can go through the book with you, because it's a little bit more hard to sort of, what's the word, not access, but, I can't even remember the word. It's hard to approach the book. I don't know if that makes sense in English. My English sometimes is so random. But yeah. Yeah, I think it's a bit harder to sort of get started if you're a full beginner, especially if you don't have any experience with learning languages. I don't know if that's your case, but that could be a bit intimidating, I think. So, and I think the good thing about Japanese from zero, especially if you're not planning on having a teacher, or maybe you don't have the money or whatever, there's also videos made by the teacher, George Trombley. And he does videos as well which match every lesson. So for every lesson there's about half an hour video which sort of goes through some of the stuff, not everything, but he re-explains, and the explanations in the book are very clear, very easy to understand, I thought anyway. But yeah, but I would recommend to just watch some reviews of the two books. I've got one for Japanese book 1 and book 2, so have a look at those, have a look at Genki reviews and sort of make up your mind. I mean, that's what I would suggest, I guess. What do you think about the language community focus on creation and input? I have the impression this is bigger in the Japanese learning community. What are your thoughts? Well, I don't know. I mean, creation has been huge in SLA, but I remember you tweeted that its research is kind of old. Not old as in irrelevant, but old as in it's been found like a long time ago. And I think it's bigger in the Japanese community because of Matt versus Japan. He has all this MIA thing, as you know, which I think is great. I mean, a lot of people have asked me, like, what do I think about it? I'm like, I don't think anything. I don't know, it's not the method I would use because I think it's a bit strange. But I'm completely biased and I'm not basing this off of linguistics at all. It's just literally my experience. But I just find this a bit extreme to sort of learn the language through only input. Also, I've got training in teaching, so obviously I do value teaching. I do think teaching, as in teaching a language or being taught a language, is important. So what I would do is probably something in between, like, you know, having a teacher and having lots of input, because to be fair, that's how I learned English as well. I mean, I did have lots of what's the word? Sorry, I'm a bit tired. Yeah, I had like a lots of grammar, like lessons in English when I was a kid, and that gave me a nice foundation. And then with this foundation, I could watch lots of TV shows, and I just needed exposure to get more vocab, essentially. I don't know if that answers your question. I kind of went off-piste on this one. But what do you think? Let me know as well. Oh, so would the book still be good for, say, who knows all kana and around 100 kanji, or would you recommend something else? If so, what? I think it depends. What I would recommend, if you know kana and already quite a few basic kanji, is maybe consider, it depends also on the grammar you know. If you've learned kana and only learned the kanji without much grammar, then I don't know if Japanese from Zero would be a good choice. Okay, that's a complex question, but I'll say this. So the first book of Japanese from Zero and book 2, they go through the kana from scratch, but simultaneously you will also learn grammar, but obviously beginner grammar. So if you know lots of things like verb conjugation, the mas form, the nai form, the te form is not done yet, the ta form rather, then maybe you could consider moving on to book 3 or 4. I haven't done book 3 yet, so I don't know the content, but have a look at the content of the book. I think that's what I would say. If you feel like, yeah, I know this, I know how to conjugate, I know adjectives, then maybe move on to the next book, I guess. Or maybe, I don't know about Genki too much, but consider Genki 2, maybe. That might be better for you. But again, it depends on the grammar, you know. I would like to learn grammar and vocab too. Yeah, okay, sorry, I didn't see that. I guess you don't know much grammar. It depends. I think what I liked about Japanese from Zero is that even though when I started using it, I could use kana already, I couldn't write it or read it super comfortably, so it was nice practice. Even though it's a bit weird at the beginning, you know, words have Romaji, so it's a mixture of Romaji and kana. So basically, you will have words which have, I don't know, what's an example? If I was writing Nihon, like for example, the ni would be spelled in kana, and then hon would be like H-O-N, like in Latin letters. So some people, I think, got annoyed by this. I think it's fine because I use the book as practice because there's a lot of writing involved as well. And yeah, but it really depends on your level. I hope that that answer helps. Wait, you speak English? Yeah. ちょっとだけ話す。ちょっとだけ. Oh, someone's writing in Japanese. Kevin-san. Oh yeah, I need to get way closer. No, 日本語の勉強 is it 勉強はどうですか? I didn't understand the first two kanji, but how is my Japanese study going? It's not going too bad actually. I'm gonna do a video about my progress in Japanese soon, but I need to stop looking at the chat because the quota is distracting me. But yeah, so my studies is going well. I have a Japanese lesson today at 5, I think, with a teacher, and I'm thinking of doing one teacher for conversation, basic conversation, and then another teacher for more grammar, vocab. I don't know. I haven't had the teacher, so I don't know if I will click with the teacher, but I think I'm going to do that. And yeah, I will detail all that in a video very soon. Maybe I'll record the video today and release it today anyway. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. 猫が大好きだの. I don't mind cats. Actually, I have 2 cats in my house. They're not mine, but they're cute. めっちゃ可愛い. Also, I don't know how big MIA actually is. They seem pretty recent, so I wondered if there was another explanation for my impression that it was bigger in Japanese. I think it's because MIA, I don't know the history really, but it's quite recent. But I think it really started with Matt versus Japan, and I think because his channel grew a lot and his videos are actually quite interesting, very detailed. And I think he started it, and then people are starting obviously to apply this method for other languages because, you know, it's not limited to Japanese. If it was related to the nature of the script, for example. I don't think it's about the script. I think, I need to have a drink, hold on. I think it's a bit related to the fact that he's an American guy that learned Japanese. Obviously, like, it's, first of all, he's American and he speaks Japanese, which is quite rare. But also the fact that Japanese is seen as a very difficult language, a bit obscure as well because of the writing. So at least I think there was a bit of like buzz around this, I think. And then, yeah, I think that's probably the reason why it got a lot of attention in Japanese. But yeah, sorry, I lost the train of thought. Oh my god, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. I don't know if that answered the question. 今日、フォルトナイトを、遊んで、is it play? I recognize the kanji. I think it's kanji for play. 遊んであなたに見ている。あなたに見ている。Oh, you saw me play today? Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, I guess yesterday for me. Is that what you meant? My Japanese reading is not that good, so if you put some kanji in it, it makes it harder. What is your view on Romaji? Should people learn how to read it in English before they read it in Japanese, or just read the actual Japanese characters? I'm pretty sure everyone who's learned Japanese will agree on that. Don't use Romaji. It's actually quite useless. It's actually quite confusing, because sometimes it makes you think that, I don't know, it affects the way you pronounce things, and I think it's just much better to get used to Japanese as early as possible, especially because kana is not too difficult to learn, or especially hiragana, at least to get started. So I recommend to ditch Romaji textbooks. I think Romaji is really for people that just want to learn a couple of phrases, go on holiday to Japan, but not really invest time into learning Japanese. But I think it's important to get used to the reading, because I went to Japan twice, and in Japan Romaji is not so helpful. Yeah. It's not that great. And also, if you go to things like Starbucks or any fast foods, if you can read the katakana, then it'll help a lot, and you'll be able to say things that you see. But if you only know Romaji, then like nothing is in Romaji pretty much, except from a couple of words, so it's not going to be very useful. As a language teacher that teaches partially online, if I see other teachers are focusing on grammar, I focus on free talk, fun stuff, because I think a balance is, and that is important. No, I agree. I think also because in my case I've done so much grammar from the textbooks that it's kind of time for me to do some practice, because I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's a point of doing grammar for ages and then not speaking. I think that speaking helps reinforce the grammar, doesn't it? So I think yeah, it's important. And also I want a grammar teacher, because grammar teacher sounds weird to say that, but I want a teacher that teaches me grammar, because like to just review it, or learn more essentially. And I will still focus on the books, but it's nice to have some kind of human not presence, but like a human being to talk to, basically. Because even though there's a lot of people that argue that you can learn a language from home, and I think that's a fair claim to make, I still think it's important, or it's nice at least, to have a teacher or someone that you can sort of go to for a language question. I feel like I'm out of focus. Is that the case? Here we go. Yeah, that's perfect. This camera. That is actually a good way to teach. Thank you on your wisdom, lol. I aspire to be a Japanese teacher. Okay. So what's your correct tonics? What's your level of Japanese at the moment? No, I'm playing and watching you now. Oh, right. Gotcha. Yeah, close enough. There's like 0 Romaji in Japan. Yeah, the Romaji is like for name of brands, but pretty much everything is in kana. Pro tip: data native in your TL. That does work. I think some organizations like Duolingo help spread the feel that explicit grammar is not important at all. Yeah, I'm not a fan of people that say you shouldn't study grammar. I mean, again, I'm biased because I'm a teacher and I love grammar, etc. But I don't think I think that's it. I don't quite understand people that absolutely want to avoid grammar. Like, I'm not saying, learn lots of grammar if you don't feel like it. I actually made a video about it where I said that, if you like grammar, go for it. If you're not too much of a fan, do less of it and do other skills, because you can still pick up the grammar in, doing other things but grammar, for sure. But I don't quite understand why people want to dodge grammar, like why it's become a thing in language learning to be like, learn without grammar or whatever. Because, I don't know, my theory, and I'm not sure, I would have to talk to people that are in that situation to know, but I feel like it's because people find grammar difficult, therefore they want to avoid something difficult. And I don't think not doing something because it's difficult is a good thing, because, I don't know, to me language learning is not easy all the time. Like, a lot of people say, always have fun and stuff, but I'm not always having fun when I'm doing Japanese. Like, sometimes it's boring, it's repetitive, etc. But I kind of accept it. It's not something that I fight too much. But yeah, so I don't think avoiding something that's difficult is a good thing just because it's difficult. If it's really something that's unpleasant, ditch it, of course. But if it's just a little bit uncomfortable emotionally, I don't think it's a good reason to do it. And also, like in life, there's lots of things we find uncomfortable to do, and when I say uncomfortable, I mean emotionally, as in like it can be boring, can be a bit frustrating, etc. I'm not talking about something extremely upsetting, but yeah. So I don't think it's, I think it's important to develop that resilience to do things that are sometimes aren't that pleasant, but that can still be beneficial in some way. That's actually how I learned French. Yeah, okay. My ex-boyfriend was French monolingual. Even then, it's not Romaji, it's just a name, yeah. Like, my school name isn't written in Romaji, the spelling is different. No, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. I mean, I'm not making a case that Romaji is useful in Japan. Like, it's not super useful. Like, if you write in Romaji, people will be able to read it, but that still limits you a lot. So, yeah. I find personally to read Japanese in Romaji, like, kind of weird. Yeah. My current boyfriend sadly speaks English, so my German learning is stalled. It can work, but most people I see saying that are just being creepy, fetishizing. Wait, what? Oh, you mean it can work not to use too much grammar? What do you mean creepy? I'm confused. Explain the code. What do you mean? And switching boyfriends doesn't sound like a sustainable learning method. I can imagine. Well, I've learned as much as I can from you. Bye! It's like instead you go from code switching to boyfriend switching. If someone wrote to me in Romaji, I'd block them. That sounds harsh. Oh, I see. Sorry, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I get. No, obviously, if you're, you date someone purely for their language skills, that's a bit weird, and I would question, like, your intentions a bit towards this person. So yeah. Hello, Rasmus. How are you doing? I'm talking a lot. I need to drink a lot. So Dakota, we haven't played Fortnite in a while. We need to fix this. I still suck at building things, but I'm getting better nonetheless. Oh, my nose is a bit stuffy. Oh, my mum called me. I'll call her after. Surviving. How about yourself? Well, surviving as well. Are you I can't speak. Are you referring to the lockdown, which are happening? I mean, I don't know. Lots of lockdowns happening around the world, or is it just sort of France and England? Because that's the only ones I heard about. Or maybe Germany, I think, is on lockdown. But I didn't hear about other countries. I can't keep up with the news from everywhere. I sent you an invite because you logged in. Oh, am I? I'm not on the game. Oh, I'm on the Epics thing. I didn't realize it was on. Okay, fair enough. No lockdown as of yet in Estonia. Right, you're in Estonia. No, I'm laughing because the chat put your message in spam because you said the word ass, I think. Then I was checking Twitter between games and saw your ass was streaming. You're funny. I'm gonna check Twitter quick. Oh, sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed. I'm casually checking my notification on Twitter. No, I was checking if someone was joining or not. So what are you guys up to today? Today I have 2 lessons. I have trial lessons. I'm turning into a ghost, aren't I? Let me change the light. That's a little better. Yeah, so I've got 2 trial lessons. So I'm doing half an hour with Spanish. So it's the 3rd tutor because I've booked 3 tutors. I was like, I'm gonna try a lot of them, but I'm pretty sure I know which one I'm gonna choose, and I will. He allowed me to post a video of it on YouTube at some point. So I'll do something like an update about Spanish at some point, and I'll use recordings from the lessons. And yeah, and then after I've got half an hour with a Japanese tutor, and she seemed very sweet. So yeah, she sent me like a super long message like, what do you want to do? I'll do whatever you want, etc. Like, yes, that's the teacher I want. Like, I feel like it's hard to find a teacher that, I mean, I hope that's how she is. I don't know her yet, but like what I need is a teacher that knows what I need to work on, not just a teacher that will follow a book regardless of my level, because that's the easy way, and whatever. But yeah. Oh my god, I accidentally exited chat. I couldn't find it again for a few seconds and panicked. the chat of the live stream. It's fine, chill, no pressure. That's what I call the live stream, isn't it? I don't think I actually had 11 people watching it before. That's like the maximum. I'll do whatever you want. Oh, come on, Dakota. Don't go there. But no, she seemed really nice. I feel like, I don't know, I think it's down to the work ethic of Japanese people. I think they're really sort of hardworking. I mean, you know, I mean, I know there's a lot of things about, you know, just because they work long hours doesn't mean they're actually productive, which is fair enough. But I think they have like a work ethics that's quite, I mean, that I really like. I mean, I really value it. And they really like, they deliver, you know, they're here to deliver usually. I mean, I like to think, might not be true, but that's the impression I get anyway. So yeah. And, oh, I'm not going there. I live there. That reminds me of that joke, which is, I would tell you to go to hell, but I already work there and I don't want to see you there every day. I like that. What kind of lesson are you paying for? I'll do whatever you want. So the lessons I pay for is, I'm going to take your question literally, right? So first of all, I'm doing, it depends on the language, because I'm also doing it for European Portuguese, because I'm quite rusty in European Portuguese. Because like I can speak it fluently, obviously, but like advanced topics are quite hard for me. So I wanted a teacher to sort of like, you know, push me out of my comfort zone in Portuguese, basically. And yeah, so I do mainly conversation classes. Same for Spanish, because Spanish I don't really need the grammar. I mean, I definitely need to practice it, but I don't need like a formal introduction of a grammar point, I don't think. If I do, I will, you know, do it, I guess. But yeah, so I just do conversation classes, and then for Japanese, obviously I need grammar because I'm a beginner. Oh my god, the amount of time my co-workers say, let's do this because it wastes more time. God, Japanese people are great at looking busy and milking the clock. Wait, dude, I didn't know the phrase milking the clock, but I got it. Yeah, but I think because you're a teacher, like it's, I mean, also because I'm a teacher, I would be able to tell if the teacher was sort of milking the clock, as you said, because I'd be like, that, yeah, that's not how you teach. But yeah, obviously I don't want to, I don't know, it's kind of weird when you're a teacher because you sort of have expectations, but I'm also trying to be open-minded to different ways of teaching, basically. I have to go now. Need to finish editing my paper. Bye. So yeah, so as a teacher, I feel like I will have expectations, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, like just chill, be the student. Don't try to be the teacher. Like, don't try to be sort of too, not demanding, because you want to be demanding, but like just chill, basically. Like, you know, just be a student. Don't be a teacher. Like, it's not your role. When you're when I'm in my classroom, I can be a teacher, but if I'm, you know, getting a lesson from a teacher, then I'm not the teacher anymore. I should just follow the way they do it, unless I think there's something wrong with what they do, obviously, but that should be fine, I think. Also, I didn't sort of check, but can you hear me well? I hope so. Otherwise, I can get the mic closer, but I don't want it to get in on the screen. Right, I think I'm gonna stay live for about 10 more minutes. If there's more questions or things you want to talk about. Even my other friends that work in like sales and stuff, they all tell me how English. They all tell me about how they waste time at work to seem busy and stay late. Well, that's kind of weird. But I was watching a documentary about what was it about? It was time. Yeah, I think it was a French documentary about time, which was super interesting. And there was a bit about Japanese culture, or maybe it was something about Japanese work ethic. I can't remember. But they were talking about how actually working, or the way Japanese people work, and not even in terms of productivity, but in terms of hours, it actually drove the country into a crisis, and that's why they push people. They're trying to force people actually to not work as much, which is kind of crazy in French culture, because, you know, in French culture you have to sort of encourage people to like not work not enough. I guess I'm exaggerating, but you know, it's a different sort of dynamic. And they said that it led to a big crisis in Japan because people were working so much that they weren't spending any money. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because we tend to think that if people work harder or longer, then there'll be more money in the country. But actually, if people work too much, they don't have time to spend the money. And I thought that was very interesting. I was talking about this to my dad the other day, and he was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Never saw it that way. So it's about the balance, isn't it? Or I'll just go to Japan and spend all the money on food. Oh, my nose is stuffed. It's really annoying. Ugh, don't know why. Don't have any allergies or anything, but... what is your advice to get from B2 to C1 in French as quickly as possible? French grammar rules are a pain in the ass. I tend to not... I don't like the word quick when it comes to language, because I don't think it's a quick way to learn a language. But because I don't have the experience of actually learning French, as a foreign language learner, I would just say that obviously, you know, the classic, lots of input, but also whatever you did to get to B2, to get to C1, you can't do the same thing. That's something that I don't know where I heard that, but it's basically the way, you know, the way you get from point A to point B can't be the same as to when you get from point B to point C. So you need to see what you need to change to sort of improve your level, because to get to a different result, which is getting to C1 as opposed to getting to B2, they need to do things differently a bit. But I would just advise, I think at B2 level you can definitely read and watch lots of content. It might be that some content will be too difficult, but sort of but try, like trial and error. But I think at this level, if I was B2 in Japanese or even in any other language, I would definitely watch a lot of content and read as much as possible, things that are appropriate to my level. Because that's what I did for English. Like I was probably B1, B2 in English, and I watched lots and lots and lots and lots of content. Like I'm talking 5 hours of TV shows a day, probably. I was addicted, and that really helped. Food is good. I'm going to Yokohama's Chinatown tomorrow for vegan Taiwanese food. Oh, how easy is it to get vegan food in Japan? I felt like it was going to be quite difficult. Yeah, I mean, I'm not vegan or anything, but I feel like there's meat everywhere, which is a bit annoying, but I guess it's harder for vegan. I remember when I was in, I think I was going to Nara, and I was with a friend of mine, like a Japanese friend, and then we ran into a vegan Australian guy, I think, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm vegan." He wanted to stay with us, basically, and then we were chatting and stuff, and then eventually he tells us that he's vegan. Sorry, someone closed the door. He told us he was vegan, and then both of us were like looking at each other like, "Oh shit! Like, where are we gonna go for food? Like, everything is not vegan. Like, most of it is actually not vegan." Yeah. So yeah. Come to Japan. Where is this kanji? I can't read it. Gambare? Is it? How are you, Dan, anyway? Kevin's tip is watch trashy reality TV. No, actually, I never watch reality TV for learning languages. Although, depending on the kind, that could be sort of useful, I guess. Yeah. It's super hard to be vegan here. Ridden fish is everything. Ridden fish. What's ridden? Hidden. Oh, hidden fish, right. Hidden fish. Yeah, like in the what do you call that? Not the stock. What is it called? Broth. That's it. James Cross. Hello. Do you have an example of something unusual or shocking you encountered while abroad? James Cross. Do we know each other, or do you just happen to be called the same as a Facebook friend of mine? Do you have an example of something unusual or shocking you encountered while abroad? James. Okay. I know who you are. That's really fun that you joined me on the live stream. Unusual or shocking you encountered while abroad? Can't remember. Must have been a while ago. Wow, that's a hard question. I'm sure there has to be some stuff. Well, I don't know. It's not really shocking or unusual, but I guess like in Japan, when you get in the bus, you get in on the bus at the back, and then you leave from the front, and that confused me a lot for a long time. Dashi. So James Cross, how are you doing? I love how we spoke to each other so much, but I don't even think we saw each other in real life. That's kind of weird, because we missed each other by 1 year, didn't we? Do you know any YouTube channels with authentic French content that have actual captions? The ones I found mostly have auto-generated captions that are often incorrect. I think there's this channel Inner French. I'm not sure if they have subtitles, but I think that might be helpful. So Inner French, I'll write it in the chat. Inner French. He's gone viral recently. It was pretty good. I'm doing good. Thank you. Nice. You live in London, right? Now, right? Is it how short British people are compared to you? How do you mean? Is it how short British people are compared to you? What do you mean? What did I say? God, my chat is so far behind. Yeah, I like Hugo's stuff. Yeah, Hugo. That's his name. Otherwise, I don't really know other channels that have captions. Sorry, the sun is in my face. That's really fine. I moved to Reading last year, which is pretty close to London. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And have you worked on your Japanese? Because I know last time we spoke, we were talking about Japanese and like learning Japanese and stuff. But wait, I can't remember. Like, I think you told me, obviously, I think you're a native speaker of Japanese, but like, do you, like, no, I think we were talking about like reading the kanji that you found difficult, I think. Is that right? That was a long time ago, I'm sorry. That was supposed to be a shocking thing. Is it how short? Oh, right, gotcha, yeah, sorry. I'm trying to catch up. I don't know. Well, I'm pretty tall, to be fair, like, yeah. But they're not particularly short, I don't think. Not any different from France, I would say, or Portugal. Because Portuguese people tend to be quite small. I mean, not small, but like a little bit. Not really, just been talking to mum from time to time, but that's it. Haven't been doing any kanji. I need to make more time for it. Yes, you do! And then we can speak Japanese to each other using kanji, the real thing in it. Yeah, talking to mum, practicing Japanese. Got it. Yeah. But more so for actual native content rather than learning French, like Hugo décrypte or bref. Oh, I see. I see what you mean. It's hard to say because obviously when I'm watching French content, I don't really pay attention to the captions. I don't know. I would have to think about it. I'm afraid I don't really know. Yeah. Sorry, I can't help. It's kind of weird, but I think asking a native speaker of a language advice to learn their language is quite difficult because we just don't have the same experience. So I don't really know. I could actually maybe make a video about it if I sort of encounter some channels which have subtitles. That could be useful. Yes, that would be great. Yes, it would. I find it really funny and fun that you joined the live stream. That's quite cool. Thanks for the support, James. You're just a giant, right? I am fairly tall, especially for a Portuguese person. Like my mum, she's so much tinier than me. My dad is shorter than me. But yeah, it's quite funny. Oh, I think I'm gonna sneeze maybe. Why? What's wrong with my nose today? How tall are you? In French terms, I'm 1.87 meters. And in English, I am between 6'1" and 6'2". It popped up on my recommended while browsing YouTube, but no worries. Fair enough. I'm glad I popped up on your recommendations. And I hope you subscribed as well. No, honestly, I don't even, because like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I don't really share what I do on YouTube with my Facebook friends because I just assume they don't really care. And so yeah, there's literally no pressure for my friends to watch anything that I make. I don't know, I think some people do that, and I don't know, I never force anyone to watch my channel, obviously, like, you know, I'd rather they watch it if they want to. If they don't want to, then, you know, just do something more fun with your life, right? I think I might end the live stream in about 5 minutes. I'm getting tired and I need to get things done. Kevin is popping up. Oh, come on, Dakota. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm sure it's something sexual. Ooh, I'm getting quite thirsty. I'm still gonna have to do a bit of Japanese review and book my Japanese lessons as well on italki. How do you keep Spanish and Portuguese separate? Very good question. How do I do that? I think now I guess it's not an issue. I mean, there's a couple of things as to why I can mix up sometimes. And when I was a kid, as in like when I was learning in... Oh, sorry, I'm going to draw my curtains. Hold on. Is that better? I think so. Sorry, the lighting is a bit worse. Let me fix that. That should be... Oh, I actually like how it looks now. So yeah, so when I was learning Spanish, I think it was about making sure that I was learning and practicing the grammar like properly. Like I had to really practice a lot of Spanish, so it was kind of annoying when people were like, oh, you speak Portuguese, so Spanish is easy. Like it's not that easy. I mean, it is easy in terms of, you know, getting you get a feel for the language quite quickly, and you kind of get it more quickly than others, but you're very prone to mixing the two languages, so that made it a bit of a challenge. So I just focused a lot on learning the vocab and making sure like this was Spanish, not Portuguese, and sort of always being aware of whether what I was saying was actually something I had heard in Spanish or in Portuguese, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that's, I don't think I'm special in any way, but I feel like I question more what I say, and always make sure that, yeah, this is definitely Spanish, not like Portuguese. Or if I'm not sure, I check. Like if I can't 100% say like this is definitely Spanish, then I will just double check, and then that will confirm whether I was right or not. But I try to consciously speak, I guess. I mean, not always, but you know, if I'm speaking Spanish, for example, I try to think, is this really Spanish, or am I just speaking Portuguese? And then if I'm not sure, I check. And then I think that's mostly it. I think I managed quite easily to question what I say. Yeah, I think that's what I would say, really. And then obviously I had quite a bit of practice of Spanish, so yeah. You should flirt with my boyfriend to learn Japanese. I am not going to do that, Dakota. You're crazy. Hello, Blues. I tried to pronounce your name. Do you believe that using a course like Portuguese for Spanish speaker or Spanish for Portuguese speakers could help? Because you're kind of forced to notice the differences. That could be good. What could be useful, I guess. I mean, I didn't try personally, but oh, Blue Season. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so it could be good because if you use a book in Portuguese to learn Spanish, they might actually show the differences and highlight what the differences are. That could be useful, especially if you're fluent in one of, you know, Spanish or Portuguese, whichever language the book is in. But yeah, that could be good. I would imagine so. Yeah. Mm. Because I remember when I was learning English, my French books would actually sort of point out false friends and similarities, etc. So that was quite helpful. I think you should definitely use that to your advantage for sure. In my case, the similar languages I am interested in learning are Danish and Swedish. Okay, fair enough. Then yeah, I mean, it's just because a lot of people say like you shouldn't learn these languages simultaneously or anything, but I mean, I get what they mean, like, you know, you're gonna maybe mix them up, but if you're really sort of careful and you really work hard at separating the languages, it should be fine. Obviously, you're always going to mix up the languages a bit, and that's absolutely normal. I don't even understand the videos made about it, like how to not mix up. You will mix up no matter what. Like when I speak English, and I've been speaking English every day for like 8 years, I still sometimes think a bit in French, like sometimes French slips up a bit, and that's absolutely normal. Like, it's same for Portuguese, like, well, not so much Portuguese and French, although in Portuguese, I would imagine I tend to sometimes think in French, maybe, if I've been sorry, I'm really getting blocked. It's so weird. But yeah, so if I speak Portuguese, like sometimes if I haven't spoken for a long time, then maybe I will sort of think in French a bit, but then I will get used to it. Speaking of Japan, there is something in Japan called Paris syndrome, where Japanese people come to Paris in droves, thinking it's like Amélie and get really disillusioned when they find out it isn't. Yeah, well, I guess it's the same. Maybe with French people in Japan, I don't know. Like, I don't know, they think that Japanese people only eat sushi, but there's more to it than that. I wouldn't be surprised. Paris is depicted in the media in a weird way. Like, the Paris I see in movies is pretty and stuff, but it's not Paris. But, you know, I that's where I'm from, so I would know, and like I'm aware of it. My boyfriend's native language is Bisaya. What's Bisaya? Where is it spoken? I never heard of that language. Bisaya. I don't know. Where is that from? I'm 14 and this year I'm going to learn Japanese in school instead of Spanish because I watch a lot of anime, so I'll just know what they're saying instead of having to read it. Yeah, fair enough. I turned 15 in 2 days. Sounds like how Westerners feel about Japan. Yeah, literally what I said. Alright, I'm gonna stay maybe one more minute and then I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna put some nose drops in my nose because it's really stuffed now. It's really annoying. You know what? I've never been to the catacombs. Catacombs. I don't know why I went American on this one. Yeah, never been. I need to. Is it worth it? I don't know. Never done it. It's 3 in the morning for you too. I guess Dakota, or because for me it's 11:20. It's not late. Philippines. Ah, right. Oh, so in the Philippines, I mean, that's kind of a dumb question, but I thought they only spoke Tagalog, but of course there's going to be other languages. I lived in the 6th for 8 months. It was glorious. I moved out in February right before things locked down. Good for you, because that was a bit of a mess, wasn't it? Are you in the UK? Yes, I am in the UK right now. All right, so I think I'm going to call it a day. Thank you for joining. Dakota, I'm going to be on Fortnite, I think, for maybe a half an hour, if you want to join. And then, yeah, that's it. So thank you everyone for joining. That was really cool. I had never had so many people in the live stream before. And it was nice to see new faces, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, Cali. Have a good one. Bye, James. Nah, son. They have tons of languages. I imagine. Every country has tons of languages. Even in France, there are different languages. So, yeah. All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining.